Alright, y'all, here is a demonstration in Davinci Resolve on how to isolate an image for a hero shot in a thumbnail. The demo file here will be an apocalypse axe, and I want to isolate the axe from the background. First of all, we're going to get it cropped in, kind of how I want to see it at the end here, so that's nice and easy. The next step is going to be jumping over to the Fusion tab. Now, I want to isolate all the edges here as well as these 4 circles because I don't want to see any of the background in the final image. To do that, I'm going to use this one here, this polygon, drag it into the Fusion section. And the first one's going to be the big one. I'm going to go ahead and trace the entire outside. To do that, I like giving myself a larger workspace. So I'll drag all this over. And then there are some notes on the commands to zoom in. So the scroll wheel will only go up and down. It won't zoom in unless you hold the control button. So it's control and scroll. And then once you get zoomed in and you want to go left and right, my mouse actually has a scroll wheel on the thumb that allows you to go left and right. If you don't have a scroll wheel on your thumb on your mouse, you can hold the control button, zoom out, and then zoom back in to certain spots depending on where your mouse's cursor are. So you can see I can zoom in up here, or I can zoom in down here. Now that we got the zooming figured out, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing the edges. Now this is time consuming, but it's one of the best ways I've found to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the tip over here and start working around. Now these don't have to be perfect, but the closer you get them, the better your final image will end up looking. There's definitely a little bit of, grace that Davinci Resolve gives you. But you can also come back and change these if you don't like the way something looks. So like if you see a little bit of background in 1 or 2 spots, you can come back and you can move these nodes back and forth like this to get it just right. So you see, for instance, this one I kind of threw out wide here. You can come back in and you can move it onto your shape. If you want to get real persnickety with it, you can actually change the little handles here to make curves. I generally don't do that. I don't feel the need to, especially if you put the dots close enough to each other. But just know that you have the ability to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get around the entire outside here, and then we'll come back. Note on the edges here, I normally just take out a big step and then come back into the image where I want. All right, you can see we're at the end here. All you have to do is connect the last point to the first point. So you just click on it here and you have the entire thing outlined. So we're going to scroll back up. Now, if you didn't have any small circles like I have here where the background is still visible, you'd be done. You take this polygon, you take the little gray box, connect it to the media in, and there you go. You have it completely isolated from the frame. If you go back to the edit tab, you can see that the only thing left is a black background. However, in this case, it's obvious that the background of the original shot is visible through these 4 holes. So we're going to fix that. We're going to do that with 4 more polygons. So we're going to unhook this, and we're going to do 4 more of these for each of the holes. Now there's a trick here that I'll show you after we map out the holes. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to map out all 4 holes, and then I'll show you all the trick. All right, once you have all 4 holes outlined, what you'll do is you'll connect all these in a row and connect it to the media in. However, you do have to change some settings. So I'm going to go ahead and connect them first. So gray boxes, you click on that and you can drag this little leader, connects to the next box, and then all the way to the front. Now notice if you do this, you still have the background in the holes. The secret here is to click on each of the holes polygons, come up here to paint mode and go to subtract. Now on your final image, you can see that the background is not visible through all 4 of the holes. So at this point, you could be done if you just want a black background, or if you want to drag in some default background, you can do that. This is kind of what that looks like. I'm dragging in a wooden background that I found online. You can move up your shot, put the background behind it, and there you go, you have a wooden background. One thing I like to do, especially if you still want to kind of see the background in your original shot, is you can copy your image. So hold down Alt, drag over your image, go back to the Diffusion tab, select the second image, take off all of these polygons, go back to the Edit tab, and now you can see the background of this shot. What I like to do is take this shot and put it under the first shot. So now you'll see it looks like the original image. You go back to the Color tab, you select the image that is below on the timeline, and you can start making adjustments, and you can darken the background like that. So if you still want to see the background and you want to make your item stand out, you can do it this way by just darkening the background. You can make it really dark. You can also change the color. So say if you wanted to give it a red hue, you have to do that. You can come in here and blur it, and you can add a little blur onto the background and kind of make this stand out a little extra. I kind of like that. And this gives you an idea of how you can really make this centerpiece stand out. You can also do some editing to the centerpiece, and it will affect the piece alone. So say you want to bring up the detail, you want to bring up the saturation, contrast, maybe a little bit of color. Maybe it's too dark and you want to make it brighter. And there you go. You can see how this really set off your image from the rest of the background. So obviously with thumbnails, this helps a ton. This also helps if you're into taking images of items like this. In my case, I run a side channel, Redbeard Ops, where I make handmade custom knives and crazy axes like this. And this technique really helps me make my thumbnails, but also if I'm trying to sell something or display something on my website in a gallery, I like being able to isolate that item and really make it pop. One other pro tip is after you have this set up, you can come into your Resolve effects. I like to put a vignette on the base image here, and then you can come and change that over here to the right. So actually the vignette with the size all the way up ends up looking pretty nice. You can turn it on and off here and kind of see how it makes the corners a little darker, and it makes your image stand out just that much more. So as we're closing up here, I'll throw up some examples so y'all can get an idea of the capacity of this technique. Like I said, I use it all the time, so I figured it was worth showing. If y'all have any questions, please post them down below, and this is Redbeard Engineered, signing off.